I just say, especially between these two, who were talking the entire time, which normally I absolutely hate, but it was so fun because it was every single line that he loved, every single moment that we were just reflecting on how incredible this was to shoot together. And then because she hasn't seen the second episode, just like, what was that? What?
She's asking for spoilers backstage.
I know. Did you all love it? Did you have
Andy, what about you? What was it like seeing this on the screen?
Well, at first it was just abject terror, and then that kind of melted into excitement. That was really fun.
Yeah.
That's a big screen.
That is a big screen and a big audience.
That was really fun, and the laughter is very gratifying. That was really the highlight.
Is that all working?
Hello?
Yeah.
Does it work?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm hard of hearing. That lady in episode 2, from high school, that was like, her hair was straight. Oh my God, I love her.
She's incredible. I mean, the both of them, are so good.
Duke is very special,
Duke
too.
is
Duke
very
is a local
special.
discovery.
Yeah. DJ, it's great.
There's more story to come with that.
Oh yeah. Some of the things that have just been the most exciting about showing up to work every single day is having these incredible actors to work with who just show up so prepared. I mean, there's so much material that we get. I mean, he loves that.
The scripts are too long, is what she's saying.
There's a lot to say. But then on top of that, the improv that they come up with as well, just on the day, and just keeping it so alive and just throwing things in has just been so delightful.
It's kind of amazing because the subtitle, I think, for episodes 1 and 2 could be Rosario Dawson Talks to Weirdos. And she has this like amazing, first of all, she's incredible, which I think everyone here can agree.
Yeah.
But she's also kind of in every scene because we can't help ourselves because she's so great. And every day she shows up to work, especially on the pilot, and you're just doing a scene with another weirdo. and now you get to work with the same weirdos again and again, and you develop these great relationships with them, and it's so fun to see.
Rosario, you
Giraffes
mentioned...
and alligators.
Oh, I know.
Legit
One of
giraffes,
my
real giraffes.
favorite parts. Rosario, you mentioned the amount of material you had. I wanted to ask Andy, in terms of the adaptation process, what first drew you to Ross Thomas and his novels?
Well, like I said at the beginning, he is my favorite writer, and there's just something about the way that he writes that is so stylish and clever, and all of his characters are, and I love this, every one of his protagonists, and he had some books that were series, some that were standalone, like Briarpatch. Generally, all his protagonists are 38 years old, or 39, because he felt that was the last year you could plausibly make mistakes, which I'm proving wrong. But they're always perched on the precipice of something, and I find them just to be so stylish and clever and fun, and I love watching people who know how to do things. There's a competence to the way that Allegra, in this case, can just sort of dissect the town, you know. And so Briarpatch was one of his more successful
the in the
books.
car scene was so good.
I know. How about that one take? All this stuff. The problem is she keeps saying all these lines so well that I keep writing longer ones. She volunteers cut sometimes.
Chief Raytech gets some really delicious ones coming up, which is really good. Kim Dickens.
I just give Kim a speech every episode because it's Kim Dickens.
Say all those like awesome little turns of phrase, Dolly Parton kind of quips that I just love.
And half-page blocks that she gets mad at me about.
Dolly Parton and Tommy Lee Jones, and if you put them in the fly machine together.
Yes.
Someone write that down.
This is working every single day. This is how we get through scenes.
That's why we
work.
miss you. But Briarpatch was a standalone book, and it was one of his more successful books. It was from 1984, and it's not actually my favorite of all of his books, but I always thought it was kind of the most adaptable, because it was very, for him, and you can tell even from this show, he kind of meanders, there's a lot of digression, but this was this most lean and kind of straightforward. Someone goes back to, in this case, his hometown, and tries to figure something out. And I just thought that was really ripe for a reinvention, because I thought we had seen, there are plenty of stories about men returning to their hometowns and doing stuff, but I didn't think we'd seen a woman do that story.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about next, was really, there's obviously so many changes you make in the adaptation process, but what were the major ones that were important for you to make? Bringing it into the modern day was important. Changing Ben Dill to Allegra Dill was hugely important. I was just much more interested in what would happen. How would the story change? How would my treatment of the story change? If it was a woman of color in the lead in the show. The zoo animals just felt right for this town. The rotting meat, the hotel.
And then also things like, I can actually talk about this now in front of people. Strucker, played by the amazing Chris Mulkey, whom we miss very much, and who is still a year later adamantly pitching.
He didn't make it?
Well, he survived, but we didn't ask him to come wrap up it. He has been pitching me a storyline where Strucker's identical twin comes to avenge him. So it's brother and sister.
I'm so down.
But Strucker in the book is a major character that carries through to the end, and I feel like he's so wonderful, but he's also, I don't know if people in the audience felt this way, the guy with the bolo tie is the person you expect to see in this town, and when you take him off the board and you replace him with someone who is potentially the most dangerous antagonist or surprising friend that Allegra's ever had, which is a woman in power in this town, how does it change the story? It was a fun exercise.
Rosario, what was it about Allegra that excited you as an actor?
I love a woman who is just so in her body and so completely herself, or so she thinks. You know, she's made up her mind about a lot of things in the world since a very young age and has been playing that out very cynically and having it justified very cynically throughout most of her life. And I don't think that she's allowed love into her life. And it's been really challenging doing so many scenes where she's not allowing herself to feel her emotional landscape, which is, I mean, that's what I do for a living. So it's been really interesting taking on her stillness and her quiet, because I am a talker, which is really interesting because it's like there's actually quite a lot of scenes where I'm really listening to these characters just go on and on and on, oftentimes telling her who she is and what they think she is. And her starting to navigate that and really have to challenge her own perception of herself and her own, and what her choices has really created. You know, she's very judgmental. She wants to be able to just kind of round this all up, and she knows everything. She's such a smarty pants. But I think the reality of emotion kind of getting in there in a way that she never really imagined suddenly transforms. And for me, it was an incredible journey of kind of looking back. You know, I'm 40 now, and you just look back on your life with such a different lens than when you go through it. But there's certain moments and critical things that happen in your life that stop you to make you take that second look. And what could be very easily, you know, things that come up nostalgically, going back home, having to revisit all these different ideas and challenge herself as to why she became the woman that she is, has just been a really beautiful experience for me to kind of get into. As different as we are, you know, we still fall into a lot of the same traps and the assumptions that we make and the agreements that we make and the things that we allow ourselves to get away with without a second look. And especially for someone like her who doesn't have anyone close to her to really call her out. And the circumstances change so much that she has to really grow up. And I love that.
Something